All right, everybody, welcome on back. Continuing along, of course, our Wednesday afternoon here in the Cyber Group Trading Room and streaming across social media, Facebook and YouTube alike. Welcome on back for our afternoon meeting. Let's get a quick chat back, as always, to begin. Make sure everyone can hear me loud and clear. You know what would be good, guys? After talking to myself for the first 10 seconds here across social media, I just realized I was muted here in the trading room. There we go. So let me try this one more time. Let's get a quick chat back. Make sure everyone can hear me loud and clear. And this time in our trading room. There we go. There's a reason why I ask every time, guys. And this time it was on me. Great to see everybody, though. Chuck, Bonnie, Cliff, Ralph, Daniel, Dennis, Ron, Ken, David A. from Down Under. John, great to see you. John D. Leda as well. Perfect. And of course, everyone joining us, like I'd said, on social media, Facebook and YouTube alike. Welcome on back, guys. And to begin, let me just say, first and foremost, I'd like to welcome a bunch of new students joining Cyber Trading University today. So in fact, I'd like to welcome Ivan A, I'd like to welcome John R, and I'd like to welcome Abdallah S, all to CTU. So welcome aboard, everybody. All righty, not a bad day to join. Now, not because of the market here entirely. Dow is just down about 50 or so points, not really too big. Ended up dropping off early in the morning, so we ended up shorting a few stocks early on. And for right now, I have to say, it seems like it's kind of making these lower highs, pulling back towards that low of the day. Might end up getting a pretty red close, perhaps. But aside from that, we had a hell of a day today, guys. And it wasn't just one stock. It wasn't just two. It was like a marathon all throughout the day from market open right until this very second. So let's quickly recap, of course, those that moved. And I say quickly as the keyword because I don't want to miss out on anything else. So let's begin, of course, on the top percent gainer, MDGX, or MGNX, I should say. Let me switch my charting here as I learned my lesson a while back, 24-hour. There we go. So, holy smokes, are you kidding me, guys? I mean, you know, we tend to see a stock like MDGX make a move, you know, over 100+% upon market open. But to see this literally go from 9.30 at, you know, $9 all the way up to 15, 16 bucks, I mean, that's as good of a move as we can catch just to start. So we normally would not expect any sort of second type of run, much to this extent. So to see this just continuously go up and up and up and up and up without getting halted, it was truly rare to see. I was expecting to see a big halt on this trade at some point, you know, on the way up. Well, we ended up getting our halt, but it was on the way down. We ended up seeing the MGNX, I should say, end up getting halted. Actually, I should say, once was on the way up. But shortly after that, it ended up getting halted on the way down right here. And ever since, well, it's been on a free fall. So for what goes up, I guess comes back down to a great degree. Now, what makes this such a special trade? You have to be really good to try and follow this the right way, guys, because, you know, the spreads are fairly tight given the move, but the order book is pretty illiquid, meaning that you're seeing a bunch of tinier orders, you know, at a lot of these price levels on the TradeStation matrix. For a stock that moved up this much, you have to think it's going to pull back, but the swings are going to be still very big per minute. So you have to know when it's the right time to try and potentially short this stock because it's not hard to borrow. This is actually a shortable trade. Now, you know, I know that we ended up seeing this begin to squeeze up going into the early afternoon, but it really took a while for this to find its way, kind of making these lower highs. Ended up essentially breaking down underneath 22. From there 21, and for right now it's pulling back a bit. I'd still recognize 20 as a major support level. I mean, really, you would have to figure pretty much every dollar for there to be a bit more volume on the order book, but 20 should be a fairly significant price to work with. So needless to be said, we're gonna just put MGNX on our watch list here. Not to say it's an easy trade by any measure. Just I would keep your focus, guys, on the largest volume-based price levels that you see on the matrix, and alongside that from time and sales earlier. So 20 bucks would be that next big level to follow. All right, so that was one of many. Of course, there were plenty of others. Number 4 or 5 on the gainers list, Cars, CARS, cars.com. We ended up seeing them take off shortly after the open as well. Had some pre-market activity on this trade, so we were following this from the pre-market leading into the open. Ended up making a pop and drop, but eventually ended up breaking above its pre-market high, major resistance at the time at 550. So from that point, it was just on a whole run of its own, right? Ended up moving up towards 6. Thankfully, this one didn't really get halted. I mean, it just kept going up pretty steadily up towards 7. Now, just like we cover in Traders Talk, our weekly workshop, which we just did yesterday, for a stock that moves up this much without shaking, you got to think, when is it going to? So, you got to figure out where major resistance is. Again, similar to that MGNX, I wouldn't be surprised to see whole numbers act as major price points to follow. So, no surprise after a top off at 7, we saw a big pullback at least, our first big one of the day. Little shake here, but I call this more consolidation. Big pullback here at this point, and well, since at least it ended up making a new high going into the mid-afternoon. So, Cars, very similar to MGNX. It's up big. It's not hard to borrow, surprisingly, for those that have TradeStation at least. For those that have IB, I would say the same thing. But yeah, Cars we're definitely going to put on our list. And hey, just because I say it's shortable doesn't mean I'm going to short this right here, right now, guys. I mean, for right now, we still have to recognize that we're seeing higher lows. The stock's moving back up. It broke through 7, and for right now, I would acknowledge 720, maybe 725 as the next resistance on this trade. If it breaks through that, we might have a new run heading into the close. All right, that was number 2. What else do we have here, guys? How about Pinterest today? Pinterest was down big off of earnings early in the morning, or rather from after hours yesterday. Well, at the open, we ended up seeing it pull back a bit towards 1720, essentially pre-market support. But from there, ended up making a pretty sharp recovery. I think Pinterest was down like 22% or so upon market open. So we ended up seeing them make a very sharp recovery from 1720 up over $1 up towards 1860. Now, I emphasize 1860 here as the high of the day, or roughly around there, because, and this is why it's so important, guys, this is what I was mentioning earlier, the chat board at least. We saw 1850 act as a major support level yesterday, and not just 1850, mind you. 1860 was a very strong volume-based level that was there in the after hours once Pinterest dropped. I ended up clipping that from Bookmap from our level 4. So I ended up going short once this ended up kind of making the false little pop and drop here, and ultimately it ended up proving to be the perfect entry point on this trade. Well, I ended up leaving a hell of a lot of money on the table, as you could see. I closed out at 1825, but of course, still pulling back here a bit. Pinterest, very tradable stock, at least going into this afternoon. Trading a lot more volume compared to its average. One could say over-traded, but, given the range up and down even today alone, tight spread, very liquid order book, so I don't mind putting Pinterest back on our list. All right, what else did we have here, guys? Recently, we ended up seeing Overstock, OSTK. We had earnings last week on Overstock. This was one of the sharper runs that we caught today. Ended up seeing them making the big breakout over resistance 1450 at first, and then really just kind of exponentially squeezing up towards 15, popped pretty sharply from there. Now, the issue on this trade, it trades a lot of volume per day, about 2.8 million shares a day, but this has the feel of like a small cap stock where the volume craps out so quick. That's not too much of a complaint. It's just a concern because, hey, for as big of a run as we saw Overstock make so far this afternoon, A, we have to expect it to pull back, which it did. And B, with that, perhaps the volume does naturally wane down, which of course happened. But we ended up seeing a pretty sharp drop. So I'm concerned that this might just be the end of the run. Given the recent afternoon move, I at least don't mind putting this on the list just to put more focus on it, because we've traded Overstock in the past, guys, and I'm not just talking about the last week and a half or last month on and off. I mean, we're looking back going into the summertime here when this stock ended up basically exploding from, well, actually at the time it was first here in July, going from 8 to damn near like 25, and then exploded even furthermore going into the late summer. So we know this stock could move not just on a day-to-day basis, but across a period of time like we see here. So Overstock, definitely going to put on our list. Hopefully it just ends up making a new run back up. I don't think that we could short this. So, All right. I'll tell you guys what I'd like to do. I mean, we already have about 4 stocks on our list, so we're building it already. Let's go from top to bottom. For any of the others, XRF in particular, we'll look to recap pretty quick. I say quick because, of course, well, this is dumping off now. It's been dumping off, and that's what I was afraid of leading into the market open today. So XRF was a great pre-market trade, popped pretty early on in the pre-market, but as you could see, and again, it ended up doing pretty well after 9:30. This is the danger of trading a small cap stock. I mean, this is pretty funny. How about this? Check this out for size. It shows the average volume per day for XRF, at least including today's volume, 51.7 million shares, to be like 1 million shares on average. That's it. Before today, the number was 50,000. There we go. 51,348 shares per day. That's it. That's how little volume the stock trades. So for a lot of these very small cap stocks that trade low volume, well, goes up, but comes crashing back down. So we ended up seeing this completely dump off, and I wouldn't be surprised if this keeps going lower into the close. If you were able to short this stock, then I'd say, perhaps put more of a focus on it heading into the afternoon, but very little chance that we're able to. So the run's done on this one for now. Mark, the run is not done for this trade. Mark, M-A-R-K, obviously now breaking over a buck. Probably, I mean, as good of a setup as you could imagine. So Mark here, I mean, yeah, put this right on our list. Cheapy. We'll look to see if this could sustain over a buck and look to run higher into the close. But nice start so far. Got a huge order at 205 and 210. Look at that. 209,000 at 105, 362,000 at 110. All right, IZEA from earlier. Nice pop after the open. I saw a couple of us jump on this trade. I did not. I missed out, but ended up being a good win. Pulled back, though, so I think for now we're going to pass. I saw Ben call out RMBL earlier. Probably a nice little run up from before and squeezing up a bit now. But again, I'm not as focused on these cheapies. I want to see if there's anything else over a buck, anything that's making a pretty sharp move. Ben picking up $1.40 on that MGNX short. And alongside Michael, picked up 70 cents on CVS short. I know CVS is one of Michael's favorite stocks. This Vapo trade, interesting, but big spread. Ben says he's now long at 20. All right. Go back to that one in a moment. All right. Here's a good one. Not AEZS. Maybe AEZS, but Fausto's DraftKings, DKNG, right? Not Fausto's as much, but we've been calling this out. Fausto's been a fan of this, of course, since the IPO. And of course, he just typed it in the chat board here recently before we started this meeting. Said DraftKings making high of the day, which, as you could see, it has been. DKNGW. Whoops, let me get the other. I was looking at the symbol there, not the chart. That's more like it. DKNG up 11% only, but this is the symbol we've been trading, not the warrants as much. But DKNG itself ended up making a new all-time high today. Most recently breaking above 24, up to 24.50, pulling back down now to the whole number. So be a little careful here off the drop back. But easily we're going to add this to our list in hopes of just a new all-time high heading into the close. That's a real all-time high, by the way, guys. So just no historical ceiling ahead here, really, at this point. All right. Let's see. What else do we have here now? MDGS. I'll tell you guys right now, full disclosure, I am currently long on this position from 350. Man, this thing's taking its sweet time. So I'm not going to put this on our list just yet. I might just close out as soon as we're done with this meeting because I could have closed out at 370 or 368 or so. Would have been a nice little profit there. But otherwise, for right now, we'll keep this on the side. Former runner from yesterday, right? So ended up, or from a couple of days back, and from this morning gapped up early but pulled back. And for right now, kind of a rounded bottom built, but I'm not ready to just put more focus on this one yet. I think there are better trades that we can get even above this. ENPH expensive. That's all I got to say on this. Made a nice pop and run earlier. So I know a few of us were following this one before. For right now, I don't just see as big of a reason to just put this on the list right now. Very tradable stock, shortable too. So if you made money on it earlier, maybe you put more focus on it for the close. But for right now, we're going to pass. NTNX, this is also a pretty familiar name. Just looking on the daily chart, the enormous number of gaps that this stock has had across the last year. It's been a fun trade off of news, as you can imagine. So, today we ended up seeing NTNX. I think it was earnings. If it's not earnings, then I apologize. I didn't have them on my earnings calendar, but nonetheless, up big. It just hasn't really made as clean of a move so far this afternoon. Partnership, I guess. You get some also, firms giving upgrades or, just giving some ratings on them. I don't know if it's earnings specifically. It has to be, I figure. But nonetheless, either way, kind of flat for right now. We'll keep this on the side. NTNX, though, don't be surprised if we call this out tomorrow, if we call this out on Friday at any point, just to see it make a sharper move. We have Beyond Meat, BYND. Big mover across the whole day today. Also pretty expensive, mind you. It's a little flat right now. If you made money on this earlier, you know who you are. I wouldn't be surprised if you traded it for the afternoon, but for right now, I'm not going to put this on our main list just yet. All right, what else we have here, guys? Water break for a bit. TGTX, beautiful pop right now up to the high of the day. Former runner, and we could say just as recent as yesterday, we ended up seeing this close near the highs of the day, moved up pretty nicely after the open, and of course, right at the highs right now. So TGTX, come on down. I feel like I'm a game show host here. All right, so guys, I think that will do it at least for the gainer side for right now. The market's kind of slumping off a bit. So, if there's anything else on the gainer side, just let me know. Type it in the chat board. I don't know why I started off with this EAF, but I kind of like this. I didn't mean to click on this to begin. It's near the lows of the day. It is shortable, tight spread. I'll come back to this. Tuesday, or TUS, Tuesday morning. I guess you got to sell Tuesday by Wednesday. Is that the play today, guys? All right, so this stock obviously pretty cheap. It's a little too close to zero, at least for me to consider as a short. So, cheapy maybe if you scalp it for a couple of cents, but for right now, I'm going to pass. This INGN also shortable. Got a crazy big spread and very, very tiny orders on the book, so I'm not a big fan of that either. This NLS seems pretty active, at least for this time of the day. Dropped off earlier this morning. Was a nice short, it seemed like. Spiked all the way down to 5, and that's where we had our largest spike of volume across the day. So I don't know if that was right off the whole number level here, but ever since, it's been kind of pulling back ever so slightly. I don't mind putting this on our list. It's down big. If the shorts continue to cover, we might get a continued squeeze up. Otherwise, hey, if this can pull back down closer to 5, that could be a decent opportunity. So, this will probably make the bottom of our list here for the afternoon, but at least for now, I'll put it on. Slow level 1 stock for the meantime. EAF at this stage, I put that one on. I'll keep this on our side list. If it breaks below or if it tests that 660 low, I'll call it out. Pinterest, again, hey, we were saying before, just tradable stock off of earnings. So it's trading a lot of volume this point in the afternoon right now. Of course, recently breaking underneath 18. So we'll pass on that that's already on our list, I should say, for the meantime. All right. Little birdie here telling me Peloton. PTON, not Pelican, Ken, as in Peloton, the bike. So, yeah, up big. I don't know if I missed this, if I just overlooked this, or if it's just not up enough to make the gainer side. But, yeah, Peloton, clearly we're going to put on our watch list going into the close. I forgot that this one was called out recently. Thank you there, little birdie. Let's see what else we got here. For Peloton, is this all-time highs? It is. Oh, my goodness, already? Holy smokes. So another one, all-time highs. We were looking at Chegg earlier today, all-time highs. Of course, we were just saying before, DraftKings all-time high recently. And yeah, Peloton. Holy smokes. I mean, you take your eyes off the stock for a day and come back and it's up 5 points later. So yeah, Peloton easily on our list. All right. So guys, let me know if there's anything else that you would want me to look at. Type it here in the chat board. I'm going to run a quick scan otherwise. Current time is 2:50. Making good time. Not bad. From Ken, MDGS spotty. Yeah, it is. Right back at that 370 price, but big spread for the meantime, given the price of the stock. So, yeah, I mean, I'm in it, but doesn't mean it's going to be great for us to follow as a team going into the close. I might just sell here and take the money and run. Bonnie says NTNX preliminary earnings report. So that's what we were looking at earlier. What else? John, NEO. Yeah, that's right. NEO, NIO. I forgot about this. I ended up closing out earlier on this trade. I got out at 356. So I was in from 350. That was the level that we were looking at earlier today. So, yeah, I mean, I can't believe it, but NEO is back up, of course, near the high of the day, near the opening bell print, mind you. We did have big resistance earlier on this morning in pre-market, 365. And, of course, 360 being the opening bell print, that should be factored in as a big level. It's just so slow. So my thought would be it's either going to be a big stinker across the day and that's it, or should this really look to make the run, don't be surprised if we end up seeing the order book thin out a little bit more should this kind of blast through 365 convincingly. If this ends up making the run that we were hoping for it to make earlier today, then I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing close to 4. That's if we get the run that we were hoping for earlier. But how likely is that? Got a lot to break through so far on the ask. So you know what? I'm going to keep this on the side for now, John. Listen, if this ends up moving up to 365, call it out, please, because you know at that point it's going to be a fantastic setup to follow at that stage. From Jeff Peloton, just follow. Oh, okay, yeah, just commenting on Peloton there. Ken asking, is AYTUD listed? Might as well be. Yeah, I guess we were waiting on this trade for quite some time, Ken, but it just keeps breaking lower. We're not in this trade like as a swing, but we're looking for the next big move on this trade, and we haven't had it yet. All right, give me a quick moment. I'm just looking at a quick message I just got here. Yep, no problem. So here, for anyone messaging me right now, just on the side, I'll get back to you as soon as I'm done with this meeting. For right now, anything else, guys? VRNS from Ben, expensive one. He picked up $2 already on the trade. So nice trend, new high of the day. Got a crazy big spread there. So I'm not going to put that on the main list just yet. Grub, tighter spreads, new high. I like that. A little pricey, but this one will make the cut. All right, Ben, you're 1 for 2 on callouts. What else do we have here? He says MGNX over 22 creeping back. So his long entry off of 20 is looking pretty good. Ben, that is on MGNX. All right, guys, I'll tell you, we got a pretty good list heading into this close. I sound pretty optimistic with that in mind, right? Should be. So, guys, keep in mind, going into the end of the day, if we end up seeing the markets drop off, of course, you would have to expect a lot of stocks from our side list to follow the market on the way down heading into the end of the day. Does not necessarily mean the stocks on this list are going to, move with the market. Peloton breaking all-time highs. Not only that, Bonnie also bringing up a rare exponential move up for Peloton because their earnings are after the bell today, I think, right? Are you seeing that? Yeah, they are. My earnings calendar I have here, Bonnie. So that's a great call. So yeah, should be a hell of a report coming up, guys. It'll be interesting to see what happens even after hours and for the rest of the week on Peloton. But again, even aside from Peloton, we have DraftKings hitting all-time highs. We have that CARS trade still very well in play. We have Overstock that made a big move up before. Perhaps that can move higher into the close. obviously the MGNX, just the monster that stock is heading into the end of the day. So we have a lot to work with, guys. Just stay focused on a couple. Make sure you have your lines plotted out already. That way you'll have the best focus, at least once these stocks end up making their moves going into the final hour here. All right, guys, aside from that, I got a clear hour ahead. So myself and Fausto will be back on the mic heading into the end of this close, at least here in the trading room. Now, for all of us here on social, keep in mind, guys, YouTube, Facebook, if you guys would like to learn more about what we offer at Cyber Trading University, please just make sure that you call the number down below on the banner, and one of our education advisors will give you more information. All right, guys, aside from that, I'm going to post and tweet the picks. And for all of us here in the trading room, let's close out the day as well as we had started it here. I need a water break. Take care, guys.